So the first thought that I had while watching this film was on what this film could have been versus what it actually ended up being. So, hi guys, this is Farhad and welcome back to my channel Popcorn Reviews. If you're new to this channel, please smash that subscribe button now. And as a video ritual, remember to like and comment on the video. Liking and commenting helps fuel the YouTube algorithm. And today, just before the new weekend releases, and there are plenty releases this weekend as far as the Malayalam film industry is concerned. Just before that, I decided to check my one film that I hadn't watched in its theatrical run, which is finally premiered on OTT. That film is the Malayalam film PRAVINKOODU Shappu. PRAVINKOODU Shappu. I hope I'm pronouncing it right. PRAVINKOODU Shappu, which is streaming on Sony Live. Now, its trailer looked really exciting, and I was quite bummed with the fact that I couldn't, gather enough time to venture into a theater and watch it. As a result, it turned out that the first thing that made me realize was that this is an equally rewarding and equally frustrating kind of a watch, because the film had all its ingredients, but it doesn't land the way it should. It's still a watchable film, by the way. It's not absolutely a trashy ride, but it didn't land the way I would have liked to, and that is one of the reasons why the film is a mid film for me, if I have to be very, very honest. So, coming to the story and screenplay, one of the reasons why this film had a very exciting kind of an outlook was because of its premise. The premise, if you remember, is similar to that. The cold open, as you would call it, is similar to that of the other Malayalam film, which released later after this film, Officer on Duty, wherein two individuals in each of the films, one in each of the films, are, hanging, in the wall, and they are, dead, and you almost get into the film thinking whether this is a suicide or a murder. As it turns out, there are layers to it, there are suspects to it, and how the case unfolds is literally what features in each of the two films. And one thing that set PRAVINKOODU Shappu separate or aligned from the other films was that the film had a very quirky kind of a beginning to it. It wasn't very tense. Imagine this: the opening sequence has this one character hanging, the surroundings are rainy, it is a rainy night, there are 11 suspects in the toddy shop which are there, but the eventual conversation is not so much heavy, in terms of the death that has happened of the character, and more on the lines of how they're going to escape, or there are fleeting conversations that are there that adds to the quirkiness in the drama. Cut to that, even the investigative officer that is there, called SI Santosh, if I remember correctly, SI Santosh, who is played by Basil Joseph. That character again is a very smart but goofy kind of a character, which is introduced against the background of clever kind of a background score. So this is a good start. It's an interesting start, and you almost want to like it immediately because of the premise, literally the premise that actually lures you in directly. But one of the reasons why this film doesn't work is because of its narrative structure. The narrative structure is convoluted, it's dense, and it frequently takes you in and out of the drama, so much so that you don't focus on the investigation that transpires. And I think that is one of the flaws that the structure had. One of the reasons why the film works is the character, the character of SI Santosh. The character of SI Santosh is, as I said, smart but goofy. You almost, when you're introduced to him, you see him boasting of the fact that he's, resolved or cracked a case in under 10 minutes. But you also see him having a personal connection to the death that has happened. And I think that was an interesting plot point as well. The other characters are, one is that of the victim. The victim is that alpha male, hyper masculine alpha male who frequently gets into brawls. His name is Babu. The other, some of the accused rather, are the characters of Kanan and Suni, and both have different reasons that are being displayed as to whether they've committed a murder or not committed a murder. For Kanan, he suspects his wife to literally have an affair with the victim Babu, and for Sunni it is more of a land deal gone wrong, as he's a real estate dealer. These are colorful characters and work nicely in the film, but one reason also remains that the backstories that are there are little meandering, and they just take you out of the film and take you right back in, and that one fundamental idea of an investigative thriller has to be that it needs to stay focused in the beginning, it needs to stay focused in the moment rather, and with the clues unraveling, and not so much having a backstory about what at every inch and corner of the screenplay. And that is what really happens. At one point you also see, as I said, there's a connection of the cop, SI Santosh, who plays, who has a personal connection to the death, you can say, and that kind of shifts the scenario, but it doesn't add up to the film when you actually get to it at some point. It's revealed at a crucial point, but it doesn't really add up. The flashbacks need not have taken place. It could have just been a verbal exchange between characters and still worked at the moment. Some of the scenes, by the way, are hilarious. Some scenes like the ones involving SI Santosh almost guessing the number of years of a marriage of a character by looking at her Mangal Sutra, so to say. In another scene, you see him, indulging in a first violent outburst. He's not taken part in a violent outburst ever, despite being a cop. But the first violent outburst that literally takes place will actually leave you in splits. There's another scene in which, he goes off to a rescue in his boxers, while riding his bike, only to get lost in the middle of the night. These are, hilarious sequences that really, put a smile on your face. Unfortunately, the information and the mystery around it is dense. There are too many plot points. Like there is a conjecture of an accomplice, there's an arrest, there's a figure lurking in the shadows. The problem is that each of these moments are fleeting, and none of them really are taken into the story, and they are not hinged onto the story and taken ahead. Now when the second hour is there, I liked how the situation flipped with regards to its characters, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. The entire scenario changes of the investigation, and there are two investigations that transpire simultaneously, and that was an interesting plot point, I must say. And it also resulted in one amazing bike and bus chase sequence, which was really intriguing in the second hour. However, when it comes to the final act just does not land. The mystery just does not land, and one of the reasons is that not only is the exposition long and meandering, it is almost winding up to a point, but it also takes up the additional responsibility of intercutting the events that transpired in that main event versus how they were discovered. And I think that was a very ambitious plot on paper itself. Either they could have cut that to a flashback, because intercutting it, it almost made the drama a little convoluted, while the revelation itself felt a little easy. So there was a dichotomy on the build-up versus what it was trying to show and what it eventually showed. And that, for me, I think resulted in a mixed bag as far as the story and screenplay is concerned. It's literally a mixed bag for me, because I could see all the elements that were written on paper. Most of them would be written on paper, but the structure that was there, the structure was far too ambitious to pull off on celluloid, and this structure would always be a hit and a miss, as far as the presentation is concerned, if I have to be very brutally honest. So it was a mixed bag for me, the film. As far as the technical aspects are concerned, the dialogues, the music and the direction, I think the dialogues are quirky and they will make you smile, they will make you chuckle. And the BGM is absolutely phenomenal, the music and the BGM, and how well has the music director Vishnu understood the world here. And if there's one thing that the film should be viewed for, it is the technical aspects, the BGM, the cinematography. Shaiju Khalid, absolutely brilliant with the framing that is there. He purposely chars his frames to create almost a neo-noir kind of setup, and that makes the drama, it adds depth to the drama. It literally adds life to the drama, even when the writing frequently takes you in and out of the film. And I think for that alone, if there are any film students wanting to study these frames, study the BGM and how it amps up the urgency in the drama. I think these are two master classes as far as the technical department in the film is concerned. It's absolutely splendid. The editing also, I think the editing was a little complex to begin with, because the narrative structure was built around that. And it did not always land, because the narrative structure frequently took you in and out of it, given the multiple flashbacks that were there. One related to the main incident, one almost like an immediate sub-incident that plays a recall value in the very next moment. And I think these are difficult concepts to pull off, and the entire film had that. It was not only this one isolated instance that could have worked. The entire film was designed to be that, and it was a little too ambitious. So the editing was a hit and a miss for me. But the director, Shrinivasan, I think first time director. So firstly, kudos to the brave attempt that is there. Yes, the direction is not the best here, and that has more to do with the ambitious nature of the drama as compared to his skill set. I could see moments of brilliance in his direction, and whatever anyone would say, yes, the direction wasn't perfect, and some sequences may not have been staged or executed as well. For example, the final act, if I could pinpoint one. But this director, understands what he knows, and he has all the required skill sets, is what I can say. And he definitely, makes for a wonderful, wonderful watch to an extent. It's not out and out a knockout, and I wouldn't be too harsh on him, because this is the first film that he's directing. But it was a difficult film to pull off on celluloid, I must say that, because of its structure. And if it's watchable, decently watchable, I think some of the credit can go to the direction, although the direction is not perfect. If I have to be brutally honest, it's not perfect by any stretch of imagination, but he still, shows moments of brilliance, and that's what, makes me say that he knows his job. He knows his job. You'll see it from, the second film, third film of his onwards, and I think he's a man to look out for. And I don't know whether I can stick my neck out, but I'm saying that looking at this film. Coming to the performances, I think the performances are pretty good here. The performances were very good. I think Chandni did a wonderful job as well. Quite a mysterious character. She did a superb job. Also Shivajit, who plays the victim Babu. Hyper-masculine personality, wonderful job done. Chemban Vinod Jose, again, very sincere, earnest, and understands his character well, understands the pitch of his character well, and does a good job. Soubin Shahir is such an excellent actor, wonderful actor, and I think he did a splendid job here. The character is quite mysterious as well, and he did a superb job. The vulnerabilities that he brought out was excellent as well. Which brings me to Basil Joseph. I think Basil Joseph is often regarded as a minimum guarantee star, and I think he really lived up to that title. Any role that you give him in, and I saw him in a slightly serious role in Pone Man, and here again this was a very quirky kind of a character, and I think he did a wonderful job here. Every time he appears on screen, he puts a smile on your face. He's such an affable personality on screen, with a wide range, I would say, as an actor, that he did a splendid job. I think he was wonderful to witness here. So overall, I felt that the film here was a mixed bag. I think it was experimental in its whodunit. I would say it was technically brilliant, but it didn't always land with what it was trying to say, making it a decent watch. So PRAVINKOODU SHAPPU is a decent watch overall. Nothing great, not at the high levels of the Malayalam films that they have set in recent times. This was a mid film, I would say, as far as the writing and execution is concerned, but technically outstanding. If you need to watch it only for the technicalities and study them. I think it's important that we all grow, as cinephiles as well. even if there are any cinema students out there, you would really need to check out the film due to its technical prowess. That was the video, guys. If you're liking this video, remember to smash that like button. Also comment on the video, share your thoughts on what did you make of the film. Did you like it? Did you not like it? Any discussion around the film. My detailed review of the film PRAVINKOODU SHAPPU is available on my site, Popcorn Reviews with a double S, the link of which is in the description box below. You can read it in your language, the language of your choice. You can also follow me in different social media platforms like Facebook, Instagram, Twitter and Letterboxd. I do not end up making a video on everything that I watch, but I put out all the latest reviews out on my site, and you'll find the captions on my social media also. So you can redirect to the site through my social media and just leave a follow there as well. You can share this video with your friends and family, ask them to subscribe to the channel. Let's grow this Digi family together. And the next up is the weekend list that is there, and it's the Vishu releases. I hope to see as many as I can. There's a Tamil film in between as well. There's a Telugu film that has come out on Netflix as well. It's a busy, buzzing weekend after a long time, and I hope to catch as many as I can. If you have any particular recommendations, do throw me that in the comments. I'll see you soon with those videos. Till then, take care of yourselves and thank you so much for your love and support. Cheers.